star of the hour, ladies and gentlemen, Tori Amos. Obviously, this is an amazing, amazing book. I don't know if you've seen the image booth where they've been signing it, but it's a beautiful book. And Tori, I'd like to get started by asking you, what's your thoughts about the book? What did you think about it when the idea first came up and when you got to see the finished product?
Well, I've known Grant since 1986.
Wow.
So when he said to me, I have this idea, my first thought was, for this to become what I hoped it would become, which it is, then we would have to make sure that the corporate side did not fuck with it too much. So that meant that we get to do my favorite thing, which is I get to play S&M artist with corporate. And I love to do that.
She does.
Excellent. And so, and what do you think when you finally got to hold the finished product in your hand?
I almost felt the same way that I did when I held my daughter. And I know that sounds crazy, but I've known Rance again since, well, a long, long time, and he introduced me to comics. Little Earthquakes would not be what it was without his influence. He's like my baby brother. And so to see him go from a comic artist that was struggling, that was ready to jump off a cliff from a right-wing Christian area to this marvelous, magical creator. It made me, I cried. I'm so proud of him.
Grant, can you tell me a little bit how this amazing, gigantic project all came together? This is like 480, 500-page book.
Yeah, and the really astounding thing is Tori's managers, John Witherspoon and Chelsea Laird, who we have to have a huge round of applause for, because this book, honestly, it came together so fast. And as great a job as all the creators did, I kept my sanity because they were backstopping me. So they really need a big round of applause. So literally as I was leaving San Diego last year, I was promoting the graphic novel that Derek McCulloch and I are doing called Displaced Persons, which is now a couple of months late and will be probably a couple more months late because I was working on Comic Book Tattoo, and I'm sorry, Derek. As I was leaving the image booth, I stopped Joe Keating and I said, hey, you know that Bell and Sebastian book you did? You know, would you hypothetically be interested in maybe a Tori Amos one? And I didn't even get the sentence finished. I was like, yeah, done, let's go. And I was like, I have to talk to her. Like, fine, whatever she wants to do, anything she wants to do. And I'm like, okay. So I talked to Tori and her managers for a while, and we pondered and we thought, and it was really critical to us, like Tori said, that we didn't do the kind of corporate expected, this is a comic, you know, this is a music comic, this is what you expect. And Tori did an awesome job of, by merit of her notoriety and her fans and her presence, that we could do things like, you know, say, okay, we're going to do a 12-inch by 12-inch book, and it's going to be almost 500 pages, and it's going to be heavy artstock paper, and oh yeah, for the limited edition, I want it leather bound, and I want to use gold leaf on the page edges. I want to use vellum tip-in, and I want to have bleed through so you see the logo. And there were a couple of times the image said, are you sure you want to do that? That's not exactly cheap. And I said, yeah, because if we're going to do this, and this was an edict that I gave to all the creators on the book too. It's like, do not hamper yourself. You know, don't close yourself in on this. You know, you have a starting point of 2 rules. Do not strictly interpret the song. Use the song as a jumping off point from an emotional and thematic stance and what it touches in you. to tell the story you want to tell, and it has to be an odd number of pages for the layout. And I was very happy about that when the printer cut a month off of our production schedule. We decided to do the book. We committed to it in December. The writers submitted their plot summaries in December, and we wrapped the book April 15th. So all of that was done in less than half a year. And I'm as shocked as anyone that it looks as good as it does, and that I'm ecstatic and happy, and I'm in disbelief. I've had the advance copy for a month, and I keep looking at it going, what the fuck? No, really? And it was so hard to be pressed because, okay, I'm gonna rant just a tiny bit and stop me if I go too far. But like, you know, when you read interviews with people and they're talking about how wonderful their project is, and I'm changing everything. It's revolutionary. You pick up the comic and you go, that's a fucking piece of shit. You know, and it was really hard because I had gotten this book and I'm like, this changes everything. There's no frame of reference. This is huge. You can wound animals and children with this thing. And I kept saying that and people kept thinking I was joking. And I'm like, no, I'm dead serious. You have no frame of reference. They'd be like, and even as like the guy who spent all this time with the book, you know, I'd seen all the stories through all the stages and stuff. When I got it in print in front of me, I was not ready for it. Because, I mean, I knew this is huge. It's 12 inches by 12 inches, 480 pages.